what is land conservancy? And what do you do? How do you do it? Where do you do it? And when do you do it?
At Conserving Carolina, we have a three-part mission. We protect land, we restore land, and we inspire people to care about it.
What does it take to really conserve land? What is it that you have to do to make sure that this land is conserved and preserved? And what are you preserving it and conserving it for?
You know, this part of the country was 100% logged, almost 100%. That's why we don't have old growth forests anymore. So people were seeing this. I mean, they're just seeing, like, you know, there's a history in our country, sadly, of just like of destroying everything in sight. And then people saw this, and they wanted to protect some of this from destructive use. It's to protect the land from destructive use and to save it for other kinds of uses that are more life-giving. So they're more life-giving to people, and they're more life-giving to the rest of life around us.
Right on. It takes dollars to make this happen. And so where do you get that funding from?
We get it from a variety of sources. We have members, and we really appreciate them. So we've got members. We have large donors, foundations, and then we get local, state, federal grants.
Federal dollars?
Yeah.
Good.
So it comes from tax money, and it comes from donations.
Most people who are in the outdoors, Rose, and most people who enjoy this, they know they don't see that many black folks here, right? And as a company, what we've done and what we do is we want to make sure that the groups who are conserving these lands and who are loving public lands, to make it a point that we must get more people, particularly black folks, in the outdoors to enjoy these beautiful lands.
Right. So I've been working in land trusts for some 15 years, and I think there's been recognition that we don't see a lot of diversity in the outdoors, but there hasn't been a lot of questioning why aren't we seeing a lot of diversity in the outdoors.
My great-grandmother tell my grandmother tell my mother tell me, Earl, don't go in those woods. Those woods, not a safe place. It's not a safe place to be. All the heinous things have happened, lynchings, killings, and dogs, all those things that happen in this place that other folks feel like that is so beautiful. Well, you have one group of folks who put brakes on it. I'm not going there. I'll have my fun outside of the woods. And you have another group of folks, particularly white folks, who have said, I love this place. So culturally, there's a divide, right? And so conservancy essentially is preserving this beautiful land for everyone, but everyone is not necessarily enjoying it as much as one group. Since there is tax dollars that are actually paying for these lands, and those tax dollars are not just white folks' tax dollars, they're black folks' tax dollars too, but we don't enjoy this land, we will essentially funding white folks' lifestyle.
The conservation movement is part of this country, and that means that it is affected by racism and shaped by racism. So one thing that I've been learning about in the last few years is the ways that that people of color have specifically and legally and systemically been displaced from the land, and that starts with the displacement of Native people, and that and then laws like the Homestead Act that put land into the hands of white people, discriminatory policies, for example, that discriminated against African American farmers who used to own a great deal of farmland, lost a great deal of farmland, and then discriminatory policies that made it harder for people of color to own their own homes and their own property, right? So there have been all these policies over hundreds of years that have made land the property of white people, right? So there's this deep, deep racist idea in our country that land is for white people, right? So, and the conservation movement for too long has mirrored that, right? And you see these lands are for white people. And I will say that working inside of some of these organizations, it's not that has been a desire to keep people out, but people are thinking about how do you protect land? Well, to protect land, you need to be on the right side of the people who own land,
right?
And you need to be on the right side of the people who have money to help us
preserve the land.
Right?
I agree.
So, because we live in a racist society, most of those people are white,
right?
Then you have conservation organizations primarily seeing themselves as answering to white people, right?
I get it.
So that has been, I think, how this culture just has not been inviting, and now
we have a problem. Right. If we're inviting more black folks to enjoy the very same places that conservancies are preserving, then you have more people that actually care about these beautiful lands, because when you are taught that these beautiful lands actually truly mean something and they're not fearful of these woods, then you'll want to come and to do what you and I have done all morning. I've become a backpacker. I love backpacking. As a matter of fact, my trail name is Blackpacker. I love backpacking because I'm a former athlete, so I love the challenge of getting on top of that mountain, right? I didn't know I would love it, but when I was introduced to it by some gentlemen who used the same mantra that I said that's going to get more black folks in the outdoors: remove fear, add knowledge, and invite them. That's what they did for me. I've been in the industry 5 years. Before that, I had never been camping. I had never knew anything about the outdoors. And the outdoors to me was just kind of a blip. But in the last 4 years, 4.5 years, I've learned quite a bit. And I've actually helped break a generational fear chain by taking my son on a business trip around North America, from North Carolina to British Columbia. And we camped at 49 campgrounds, 20 states, and we traveled for a little under 3 months, and it was amazing. But here's the problem though, and this is why I created my company. We traveled and saw all those beautiful places, and then we got to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we saw our first black family, right? And it was weird to see that because we had not seen any thus far. And then my son, the way he looked, he said, "Dad, those are black folks." And we both were like, "Ah!" And the black folks who actually we saw were like, "Ah!" It was like one of the moments like, "Yeah, we out here, baby." When I talk to the young black kids and sharing with them about the outdoors, tents and things of that nature, they had no clue on how to assemble a tent. As a matter of fact, they did not even want to sit on the ground because they were scared of the bugs. Well, I went across town to another location where the children were and the youth were 100% white. They knew everything how to put the tent up, and they enjoyed going in the outdoors. As a matter of fact, they led the trail walk. And so, again, you know, what I would love to see is that those youth come together with the other youth together. And now, what we are building as a company and our model of getting everyone around the campfire to have conversations so we can talk about some of the things that are going on in our country or in our lives and everywhere, we start that young.
At Conserving Carolina, we know that we don't know all of the things that we need to do to get to where we envision being.
Right.
But we're committed to going in that direction. It's one of our core strategic directions to improve equity in our work. And there are some steps that we're doing right now that I see as door openers. Like if we do these things, they're going to open doors to new things, and we're going to continue to learn, and we're going to continue to grow in this direction. So what I do is storytelling, and one thing that I try to do is to connect with people of color who have a story to tell about their connection to the land and how they're taking care of the land, because those stories are there. So trying to lift those up and tell those is part of the story of how people take care of land. So that's one thing. And then another thing that we're doing is we're reaching out to partners in our communities that represent communities of color and working with them and asking, like, what could we do with you that would help us accomplish a shared goal, and trying to grow those partnerships.
So like we do with our company.
Absolutely.
All
yeah,
right.
we would
Okay.
love to. We'd love to grow a partnership with
Right.
you guys. You mentioned youth, and so that's something that is important to us, and we have programs where we're trying to reach kids and reach young people. So actually right here on Bearwallow Mountain is one place where we have field trips, and these kids, they'll bring the whole school. So it's not
Right.
just some kids. It's not just a few kids
Mhm.
whose parents love the outdoors, but all the kids get to come here, and they have this amazing time. They have this wonderful experience. So that's one way that we're trying to connect, like, all the youth in our community.
That's
to
really
give
important.
them at least this one experience.
That's real important too.
We got this Summer of Service, which is an AmeriCorps program for young adults finishing high school or going into college. So we really kind of emphasized diversity with that program, and brought some like super amazing people into that program, and they've really contributed, and they're going to take what they experienced, and they're going to, that's going to shape what they can do in their entire lives. It's eye-opening for them to see, like, there are careers in conservation. People do this for a living,
Right.
And these are wonderful, very brilliant folks. As a land trust, we do try to preserve these amazing, wild, mountaintop, big wilderness places, and we're also seeing a need to protect and create green, wild spaces where people are.
Right. Like parks and walkways and pathways, and that's important because it's almost like an introduction to that space. Tell me some of the places that Conserving Carolina actually is, conserving, have preserved, and things of that nature. Some of your popular places.
Yeah, well, we've been able to protect a lot of places for public recreation, and there's some of the favorite places in this region, actually. So definitely Bearwallow Mountain, and
where we are now.
Where we are
It's
right
a beautiful
now
place.
Today.
Right.
And a lot of the Hickory Nut Gorge. We help preserve much of Chimney Rock State Park.
Nice.
We help preserve much of DuPont State Forest.
Good.
We help create the
Which was some dope waterfalls.
So
I mean, some of the dopest waterfalls of all time, right?
Yes, it's an amazing place. I mean, these are the places people love most, the famous places, right? And it takes a lot of partners, but we help protect Chimney Rock, DuPont, the new Headwaters State Forest, and then here in the Gorge, Bearwallow Mountain, Wildcat Rock Trail, Weed Patch Mountain Trail, Florence Nature Preserve, there's Norman Wilder Forest in Polk County. Little White Oak Mountain is a new place that we help protect in Polk County. And in addition to these big parks, big public lands, we've helped protect a lot of greenways.
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of leading the way, I think, in our region on protecting greenways. So the Oklawaha Greenway, Cane Creek Greenway, we're working on the Acosta Trail.
Right.
We've helped expand the Brevard Greenway.
And all of these are in western North Carolina.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
for the most part.
mostly they're mostly in Transylvania County, Henderson County, Polk County, and Rutherford County.
North Carolina.
And then a little bit into upstate South Carolina. Our office is in East Flat Rock, so I will leave work and go to the park at Flat Rock. We help protect the park at Flat Rock. It's this wonderful park. And also in Hendersonville is the Oklawaha Greenway. There's the Cane Creek Greenway in Fletcher, and then in Brevard is the Brevard Greenway that we've been helping to expand.
So you have a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
So there's a lot of big places we've helped protect, and there's
But then
a lot
some
of
small
little
places,
a lot of little places, a lot of local parks.
We believe that the campfire in our logo is the portal to amazing conversations. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, or your age. We all have something to say. We also believe that the campfire is a safe place to have conversation. We believe that the campfire is a place to have conversation with no walls, right? And we've said a lot here that we wouldn't necessarily say if we were in close proximity into the place that had a wall, because we wouldn't have that interest. Well, we both have interests in the outdoors. If you have 90% of white folks pretty much join the outdoors, or the outdoors is made of pretty much 90% of white folks, and just say we had 10% of black folks that are not, we believe if the campfire is here, we move it closer, move black folks closer to the campfire, or we move the campfire closer to the black folks, and now we start having conversations with everyone who's in and around the campfire.
Because I feel like we do things better, right, when people are able to share more of their stories and more of their perspectives.
And be authentic, too.
And be authentic. Yeah. And I know that in conservation, we're going to be able to do conservation better when we have more people sharing their perspective, their wisdom, their knowledge, and their story. And there's that like human connection. I feel like we need a lot more of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to have a lot more of these type of conversations and find ways to create those spaces for those to happen.